right, welcome everyone to our newest marketplace expansion series. Today's session is on expanding your Amazon success to Walmart.com. My name is Dina Podner and I'm the marketing manager here at Marketplace Strategy. Marketplace Strategy is a strategic marketplace sales acceleration agency servicing clients from startups to Fortune 50 companies with a rapidly growing team. We manage clients in a variety of categories, from grocery to personal care, furniture, home improvement, electronics, and many, many more. Our team includes strategists, designers, writers, and advertising specialists trained and focused exclusively on marketplaces. While Amazon is the tip of the iceberg as the third largest digital advertising platform, most of the largest retailers are investing heavily in their own retail media platforms. Marketplace Strategies experts are continuously adapting and learning the newest marketplace capabilities as they become available to brands. Before we get started today, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. If for any reason you have to step away or miss a portion of the webinar, the entire session recording and slide deck will be sent out as an email follow-up. At the end of the presentation, we will be having a Q&A portion. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. I'll bring them up during the question and answer portion at the very end. Any unanswered questions during the live webcast will be answered via direct email follow-up. Presenting today, we have two of our experts, Gina and Megan. To kick us off today, Megan is our senior client strategist, and she will be taking the lead.
Thanks, Dina. So when thinking about brands who are starting to think about their Amazon and Walmart strategies, there's huge benefits to be gained from ensuring that these strategies are aligned. So when a customer is shopping on either platform, you want them to be able to easily locate your products on either site and make sure that no matter where they are searching for your products or similar products, that the search experience is uniform. In a lot of instances, we've taken the key learnings from Amazon's content and creative and then applied those to Walmart products. There are a few nuances that are Walmart specific, but either way, it's important that when a customer lands on a product detail page, be it Amazon or Walmart, that they are seeing similar content and creative and product options. While the Amazon and Walmart shoppers are different, it's still good to be able to glean from advertising reports on the Amazon side and then apply those learnings to advertising on Walmart. There are some specific reports that Amazon doesn't provide, but Walmart does, and vice versa, so gaining that insight across platforms is huge. While algorithms play a big part in pricing, it's good to keep in mind your pricing structure and ensuring that when you are running promotions that you are keeping the multiple retailers in mind. Overall, the goal is to maximize sales, and if your pricing isn't consistent from a cross-platform perspective, then you could lose credibility. So how to win on Walmart? Walmart is very explicit about what it takes to win on their site, unlike Amazon, who doesn't willingly share the recipe to their secret sauce. We'll jump into each of these buckets a little further in the coming slides, but at a high level, the key pieces are content and discoverability, your offer, and reviews and ratings. So content and discoverability includes a lot of the SEO pieces of the puzzle, things like product name, key features, shelf description. Shelf description is something that is Walmart specific that Amazon doesn't require, and backend attributes. When thinking about your product's offer, this includes things like price, and we know that Walmart's algorithm is weighted on the lowest price, shipping speed, so Walmart has next day and 2-day programs, and inventory position to ensure that your products are remaining in stock. They also have Walmart Fulfillment Services, which is a program that's similar to Amazon's FBA, where Walmart will stock and sell the products for you. And then ratings and reviews. So Walmart has partnered with Bazaar Voice to create a program similar to Vine, where brands can sample their products in exchange for reviews. Similar to Amazon, reviews hold a lot of weight for rankings. So looking at the content and creative terminology across both platforms, as I mentioned earlier, there is different terminology across Walmart compared to Amazon. So the product name on Walmart is the product title on Amazon, while key features on Walmart are bullet points on Amazon. The about this item, which includes the long description and has a higher character count than Amazon's product description. There's also enhanced content on Walmart, which is an A+ page on Amazon. And lastly, the brand shop on Walmart is the brand store on Amazon. In addition to the elements of a Walmart product page differing from what we see on Amazon from a terminology perspective, they also hold different levels of weight on each platform. So diving a little bit deeper into shelf descriptions. As I mentioned earlier, shelf descriptions are unique to the Walmart marketplace, providing sellers and suppliers an option to optimize a meta description type of field that appears within SERPs. This is another area for brands to enhance their presence within search and improve click-through. Within a shelf description, you can include up to 4 bullet points to highlight the main product features. Many categories on Walmart show shelf descriptions within SERPs, but all categories have a shelf description field within the backend. So we would always recommend completing these fields, even if the shelf descriptions aren't appearing on SERPs for your category. This slide here is just an example of a shelf description live on a search engine results page. So when we get into selling your products on Walmart, there are 2 ways to list and sell your products. Supplier Center, which is similar to Amazon's Vendor Central, is a 1P relationship with Walmart, while Seller Center is a 3P setup and similar to Amazon's Seller Central. On the supplier side, retailers have access to a recently launched platform called Item 360, where you can manage all content and imagery, create variations, and you'll be assigned a category manager, similar to a vendor manager on Amazon. The category manager can provide the content scorecard for your catalog, similar to what is provided on Seller Center now with the listing quality dashboard, highlighting items that need attention with missing attributes or low character counts. The Seller Center side is a 3P relationship with Walmart, where you can utilize Walmart fulfillment services to send your products into Walmart, similar to FBA on Amazon. Sellers just received access to a listing quality dashboard where you can see a grading scale at the catalog level down to the product level to understand performance and where the opportunity is for your listings. Catalog updates on the Seller Center side are done manually or via a spec sheet update, along with being able to plug in through an API or even through Shopify. Some of this is very similar to how Amazon Seller Center operates, where you typically make updates manually or through a flat file. Overall, no matter if you're selling 1P or 3P, Walmart is providing brands visibility into their catalog health and completeness. They're outlining important attributes that are missing or not hitting the mark in what they see as complete, and this gives us line of sight into knowing what's important to build out and how to better optimize for best practices. When developing a Walmart strategy, this insight allows us to prioritize certain areas and create a game plan. Catalog completeness is just one of the ways to be successful on Walmart. So diving in a little bit deeper to Walmart's Item 360 portal. So previously, this was the Manage Items section in Walmart's Supplier Center, but Item 360 was just launched over the last 2 weeks. And from what we've seen to date, there's a lot of new capabilities. Item 360 provides more ease of use to make updates for suppliers. You're able to easily create variations in the back end, along with being able to download all of the catalog information in bulk and make bulk updates. The reporting within Walmart's Item 360 portal is also very customizable, so suppliers can pick and choose from around 30 data points for up to 5,000 product IDs, which makes it easier to understand performance at a product ID, category, or even the whole catalog level. I'm looking a little bit further into the listing quality dashboard. So this was another platform that was just recently launched. And this platform gives sellers access to a grading scale for each listing and an overall score for their catalog. This helps them to strive for catalog completeness, and it helps sellers understand performance and how to improve their listings to increase sales, providing a clear line of sight into what's important to rank well and successfully sell on Walmart. It outlines content and discoverability attribute factors that are missing, important insights into offer and price, along with information around your ratings and reviews. So here we have an example of one of the Walmart content style guides that are shared from the Walmart team. So what we've learned is that Walmart really wants their vendors to win and makes the roadmap to do so pretty accessible. They have style guides for each category that specifically outline what is needed across images, content, and other listing details. And you can request these by emailing the Walmart content team. So diving a little bit deeper to reviews on Walmart. So reviews on Walmart is another part of the secret sauce that holds weight to ranking on their site. Walmart has a review program called Spark Reviewer that allows brands to sample products to customers in exchange for reviews. This program is very similar to Amazon Vine. However, it's a lot cheaper than the Vine program, and there looks to be quantity discounts based on how many credits you purchase at a time. And the last piece before we jump into advertising is the variation strategy on Walmart. So your Walmart variation strategy is very important, as it not only impacts your customer shopping experience, but it also has a lot of impact on advertising. Opportunities for variation creation are similar to Amazon, so pack size, color, size, but with the additional color swatches that appear within the search engine results pages. During the second half of the webinar, Gina will go into specifics about what this means and how you can set up your product variations to ensure that you can run successful advertising campaigns.
Great. So when we look at advertising, there are really 3 boxes that you need to check off in order for your products to be eligible on Walmart. So the first 2 are pretty in line with what we typically see on Amazon. Everybody's familiar with it. Is that your product needs to be in stock and winning the buy box in order for the ad to deliver. The last piece is that your product that you're advertising needs to be the base item ID for the listing. If at any point these 3 boxes are not being checked off, your ads will automatically turn off, so you don't really have to worry about anything running that you're not going to be able to make any money off of from that point. When we're looking at it from an Amazon perspective, the base item ID is different than a parent ASIN, where the parent ASIN is kind of like a shell that houses all the different variations and child ASINs for one listing. The base item ID, on the other hand, is an actual item number that applies to a variation of the listing. So it would actually be representative of one of the sizes, colors, etc. of one product. So it's really important to make sure that you know what your base items are, that they have, they're typically the strongest performers, that you have strong inventory position for those as well. So this impacts your advertising strategy because you're only able to advertise a base item ID from each listing. So it's really important to know and be able to align with all teams to make sure that you're aware of what those base item IDs are and that it's very strategic and intentional what you're setting them. The good thing is you're able to actually select what the base item is, and so that really allows you to open up the door from that perspective. The base item is going to be the one that shows up in the search results page when people are searching, but obviously when they click through the ad, they'll be able to look through all the different variations and make a selection from that point. Advertising sales are inclusive of all of the variant sales for one item. So if you're running a campaign, you'll still be driving traffic to the page, but there will only be one that's actually showing. Another impact that this has on advertising is that if you have 2 sellers that are, both have the same product with different variations available at any point in time, in order to improve the customer experience, Walmart's actually going to merge those groups to make sure that everything's streamlined. It all lives in one place. If somebody's looking, they have all the options in front of them. When this happens, only one seller can actually own the base item ID though. So that's how that really plays an extreme impact on your advertising, because if you're losing that base item at any point in time, your ads will turn off. To date, this isn't something that we've really run into very frequently, but as more people are looking to sell on Walmart, we anticipate that this could be showing up a little bit more frequently in the future. Something that kind of takes into consideration here is that the primary variant is the one that's winning the buy box. So there is a buy box score that you can look at to understand what you might need to be adjusting in order to reclaim that base item if it is merged. But also the system's going to auto select the highest quality content between the 2 sellers and display that on the page. So you might also be losing from that perspective. Overall, it's just really important to make sure that all of these different things are aligned before setting up your advertising campaigns, just knowing how much weight Walmart plays onto the customer experience for these. Going to some of the housekeeping, the different ads that are available from the advertising perspective. So there is search and grid. This is something that's on Google, on Amazon, everywhere. So it can show up in 4 different places. The ads will show up, they look very native to the platform. They can be on the search results page, browse page, category, or curated shelf page. So browse page just means somebody's looking within a category like electronics and office. If they do drill down a little bit deeper onto a category page, and if they're searching and select TV and video or something like that, that would be where these ads would show up on the search results from that part. They also do have curated shelf pages, which if somebody's searching for something super broad like recipes or something along those lines, it has a little bit different user experience to make sure that it is the content's a little bit more appealing for consumers. So your ads can also show up on those pages. I believe that the one on the homepage right now is like the Halloween or something like that. You can access it from the homepage or some other areas. If you're winning these spots, they only appear in the first 1 to 12 positions on the search results page, and you can only own a maximum of 2 slots at a time. These only show on the first 3 pages of search results as well, so you know that if you are showing up and if you are seeing impressions, clicks, things like that coming through from these ads, it is from somebody who is still searching and showing high intent. You don't have to worry about anything being too far down the search results. You can actually win these placements through automatic targeted as well as manual keyword targeting as well. Looking a little bit deeper into the search and grid placements specifically, Walmart does have these 4 criteria that your ad also has to match to in order for your ad to show. So first, you need to appear within the first 3 pages organically of search results for an ad to appear in the search and grid. 2, you have to rank higher than or equal to your organic search rankings. So what this means is that if you're ranking 6th organically on the search results page, your ad can only appear in ads or in the placement 1 through 5. It cannot appear any lower than that on the search results page. 3 and 4 are pretty in line with each other. So just making sure that your product is in the same category as a search query. I mean, if you have an appliance, it's not going to show up if someone's looking for pet toys. Just making sure that the user experience is very seamless and making sure that at any point in time, the ad that's displayed is very relevant. The last piece is the product type. So that just drills down a little bit more granularly. That's based off of the different categories that you're actually ranking for on your product detail pages. So that you can kind of have a little bit of a hand in. There are, it can go down a couple different levels on there. So you can go down to cordless vacuums versus just vacuums, and that would all be considered relevant at this point. Ultimately, Walmart has these in place so that then they can make sure that their customer experience is the highest level. This does prevent advertisers from kind of testing into some different areas if you want to look for complementary targeting or just kind of testing to see if there's a way to kind of upsell people or look at expanding the basket size. This does kind of put some limitations on that from that front, but they do have some other ad types that you can look at as well. So they also have these carousel ad placements. These can live on the same pages that the search and grid can live in, with the addition of actually living on a product detail page. So if you're on the search results page, the carousel is going to live at the very bottom underneath the different pages that you can click through from that point. You can only have a maximum of 24 sponsored products displayed within each carousel at any point in time. If it is on the product detail page, it's going to show up below all the product description. It can either be mid-page or at the very bottom. And it's kind of in line with what you expect on an Amazon, what we call shoveler placement. So it features a couple different products. Sometimes it's just labeled sponsor products, like in the screenshot here, but it also can be displayed in some of the personalization modules. So consider similar products. People also purchase this product and things like that. Up until about a week ago, I believe, these were only able to be won through automatic targeting, but they just released the opportunity for you to manually target into these placements as well. Lastly, they do have a buy box banner that you can win. So this can only be displayed on the product detail page. It's right below the buy box, and it has a really solid amount of real estate on this. So it actually displays a picture of your product or your brand logo on there as well. These can only be won through automatic campaigns. And because there is such limited inventory, it is very competitive. And so typically we do see that the costs are a little bit higher for these. As you're looking at actually setting up your campaigns, there are a couple considerations to take into place as you're planning and as you're doing budget planning especially. So first of all, Walmart is a first price auction. So you're going to pay exactly the amount that you're bidding anytime that somebody clicks on your ad. So it's important to make sure you're never bidding higher than what you're willing to pay. Amazon is a second price auction, so you just pay the 1 cent higher than your next competitor. Typically we see that this kind of limits our ability to scale quickly, as you do have to be very intentional about where you're bidding and the amount that you're bidding. And then also if you're looking to scale, doing it slowly so you're not jumping up to the point where you're spending money inefficiently. Secondly, there is a campaign budget floor. So there's an optional budget at the total level saying that I only want the campaign to spend to this amount. The minimum for that is $1,000. but there is a required daily budget of a minimum $50. This used to be $100. They recently dropped it down to $50. So with that being said, any campaign that's running, you need to plan for at least $50 a day. If you underspend at any point in time, the underspent dollars will just move forward into the later days, but the campaigns will only spend up to 2 times more per day than the budget. So an example of that is if your budget is $50, you only spend $35. The next day, your budget your campaign can spend up to $65 at that point. So it's really important to keep this in mind. The only way that you can control your spend lower than that is by looking at really refining your targeting or making sure that your bidding structure is a little bit lower in order to make sure you're not spending dollars where it's not as efficient. Lastly, a really cool tool that is available on Walmart is their keyword analytics. So it's just an opportunity for you to go through some campaign planning. You can look up some search traffic as well as search terms that are associated with the items. So you can see how frequently are these search terms showing up, how frequently are people engaging with them and things like that. So this helps you understand, obviously you can apply learnings from Amazon and other search placements as well, but this really helps show what you can do on Walmart. Also unique to Walmart is that they actually have bid multipliers in place. So reporting's been available for a while, but earlier this year, they actually released the opportunity to make adjustments to your campaigns based on these results. So it has it broken into two different pillars. So there's placement and then there's platform. On placement bid multipliers, you can increase or decrease by buy box or search and grid. Typically, we see that the majority of the spend is going towards search and grid, just based on there's more inventory there, there's more people searching, and so it just makes it easier to scale from there. And we also see stronger results from that point as well. On the platform side, if there are no multipliers in place, we typically see that spend is pretty even across the 3 different platforms, but also across some of the categories that we're advertising, we find that the strongest return is going to come from desktop, but the conversion rates are a little bit higher when people are searching there. If at any point you kind of layer these in, so you're both running at the same time, it's just going to add those multipliers in place for the given ad placement. Walmart also has a different attribution model than Amazon. So they actually have now 3 windows available. So they have a 30-day window, 14-day window, and 3-day window for all their advertising. 14-day was just released recently, which is in line with Amazon. So it's not really a surprise that they adopted that. But typically we do find that about 98% of our sales are attributed within the 3-day window versus the 30-day window. So this is really important as you're making those decisions and as you're ramping up, especially in Q4, to understand that the results that are in front of you after 3 days are most likely in line and actionable to make those optimizations and changes to the campaigns moving forward. Also looking at some of the different reporting capabilities. So on account level, you have the 4 reports, pretty standard, the daily, campaign, page type, and platform. But when you do look at the campaign level, it does give you access to some of the additional reports here. 2 of those, the brand performance and category performance, are only available for Walmart suppliers. But using these reports, it really feeds into those bid multipliers and making sure that you're able to pull and analyze these results and be able to act on them and make some optimizations within your campaigns to make sure that you're focusing your spend where you're most likely to drive some return. An interesting report that they also have available, it's called the Item Health Report. This was released fairly recently this year. And what this accounts for is any item that is enabled in an automatic targeted campaign for at least 3 days, the item details will show up in this report. So this outlines not just advertising performance, but it also accounts for the health of the item itself. So it'll denote whether the product is a base item ID or a variant item ID. It accounts for the product detail page views, which are, we've been able to identify that those are actually the overall product detail page views, not just ones that are driven from advertising. But the most important piece is that it actually shows the percentage of time in stock and percentage of time winning the buy box within the last 7 days. So it's something that Amazon really keeps that kind of data really close to their chest. But this allows us to take a look at if we're not scaling or if a campaign stops spending, is it because our bids aren't high enough or is it because we're losing the buy box 90% of the time? So it really helps build in advertising to your entire structure of your campaign. Different than Amazon as well is that there is a little bit different kind of learning curve as you're ramping up on Walmart. So At any given time, we typically see that if you're launching on Walmart, it's going to take about 2 to 4 weeks of consistent optimizations in order to kind of find your groove, I guess, with your advertising. So some different ideas that we have in place and things that we typically look at as you're ramping up on Walmart. If you're not scaling very well, or if you're not scaling to the height that you need to be, especially given that we're coming into Q4, looking at the item health report, like I just mentioned, we've got the buy box and inventory issues. We're able to identify that from that point. If you're not losing the buy box, if you're in stock and everything looks good from that point, then it's in turn to increase some of those bids to determine where your most profitable results are driven. On Walmart, you do have to click into each campaign individually. They do not have any bulk options, so just making sure that you do have a really refined strategy and build with everything that you're doing to make sure you're not putting too much manual work on your plate there. But implementing some of those bid multipliers as well can help scale more quickly. Obviously, the more changes that you're making, you can see a little bit more fluctuation in your return and your overall efficiencies of the campaigns, but there are changes that you can be making on a daily basis there. And lastly, just utilizing some of those keyword analytics and detailed keyword reports to check for targeting opportunities. So keyword analytics we talked about earlier, but the detailed keyword reports were, again, another feature that Walmart released fairly recently that allow us to see the search terms that our ads are driving results for. So this not only shows the search terms itself, but also the product IDs that our ads are delivering on. So we can kind of use that to gauge what are some areas where some competitors we can start trying to either go after or defend ourselves from in that sense as well. Lastly, just to reiterate, so I know we've mentioned this a couple of times, that Walmart's had a lot of recent updates coming in. This is just a list of some of the ones that we've seen most recently. So like I mentioned, the item health report, that has been a huge help to all of our advertising teams as we are working on scaling up. The campaign daily budget minimums being cut in half. I think that that's something to keep an eye on to determine whether Walmart might be pulling those away or changing in the future. And then from a manual campaign side, they also updated where we're now able to show in the carousel placements. And they also just recently activated bid multipliers for those as well. Lastly, just adding in the 14-day attribution and advertiser reports, I think we'll consistently see them kind of competing with Amazon or playing catch up with them on some of these different features. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more of this stuff coming through in the future. And then lastly, the detailed keyword reporting from the advertising side. That was a really big help for us to be able to finally see some of the search terms that we're delivering for.
So the three strategic takeaways from the webinar today, one is looking at supplier versus seller. So as I went into detail earlier, there's the 1P versus 3P side. Depending on how you sell your products, you'll be able to utilize things like the Item 360 portal or the listing quality dashboard. Variation structure is really key here. So beyond the shopper experience, your variation strategy is also going to impact advertising. So having those two aligned is very important. And then finally, keyword targeting. So keyword targeting, you want to make sure that it's focused on the customer experience and advertising relevancy when delivering.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan and Gina, for all of that valuable information. I really appreciate your time and expertise here as we dive into this marketplace expansion series that we will be continuing in the future. Right now, we are going to move into the question and answer portion. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and submit those in the question and answer or in the question portal on the side of your GoToWebinar control panel. And I am going to start reading those. So it looks like the first one we have here is, can we utilize the creative that we have from Amazon for images and enhanced content on Walmart?
Great question. So on the images side, yes, you can scale your imagery from Amazon to Walmart, but it's important to remember that no matter if you're developing creative specific to Walmart or scaling from what you've already developed on Amazon, you want to make sure that the features and benefits of the products are highlighted throughout via lifestyle, text overlays that include different callouts. Enhanced content on Walmart is not currently free like A+ is on Amazon. So it's not as simple as scaling from Amazon to Walmart. There are a handful of different paid options for enhanced content and feature modules that you can utilize through different syndication tools. However, we have recently heard that Walmart is in the works with developing an option within their platform to develop enhanced content. Great question.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Megan. All right, it looks like the next question that we have here today is, we do a sizable amount of advertising on Amazon and we want to get started on Walmart. What do you suggest a starting ad investment would look like?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. That's something that we get from most of our clients as we are getting started. For Walmart, it's a little bit different. There's not necessarily like a set total amount that we would put into place when we're getting started, but rather because of those campaign budget floors, it's important to make sure that you're accounting for at least that $50 budget minimum on each campaign that you're launching. So aligning on the strategy in regards to the number of products that you want to be advertising, how you're going to be lumping or breaking out the campaigns, and then attributing at least $50 a day towards those. Starting out with the floor is most important, and then if you see something scaling or performing really well, finding opportunity to increase the budgets from that point in time. I think that if there are some areas around Walmart, we obviously can start our budgets lower than the $50 amount as we're kind of trying to gain some of our learnings. So keeping that $50 in mind, applying some more strategic bidding opportunities in there to make sure you're not just spending completely crazy, running out of budget by the midday, and then just kind of applying those learnings from that point.
Awesome. Okay, I think this one is for you again, Gina. The question was 2 slots max per product or per brand?
Yeah, so it's a great question as well. So you can only have your product showing up once in the search results page because of the way that they have their variation set up. So you can only advertise the base item ID. At that point in time, you can win 2 spots maximum per brand.
Awesome. Okay, this question, I think, Megan, you are going to take this one. Does Spark participation require a fee similar to Amazon's Vine program, 30 units max?
Yep, another great question. So yes, there is a fee associated with the Spark Reviewer program, and it is cheaper than Vine. So from what we understand, it's around $30 per unit, which if you assumed, that you were sending in 30 samples, that would be about $900 compared to the over 2,000 on the Amazon side. The other benefit to Spark is that you can get quantity discounts based on the number of credits or samples that you're sending in. So, if you're sending 150 or more, then you're looking at a unit cost of around $15 per sample.
Awesome. Okay, the next question I have here is for Gina. Will your product show up in organic search when you're winning search and grid placement?
Yeah, so your product can still show up in the search, but the only note there is that if you're winning the ad placement, it needs to live higher than the search result ranking. So you still can own a couple of those placements, but if you're winning the first search, or if you're winning the first spot organically, then you will not have any ads showing above that point.
Perfect. All right, and we have another question here that I can actually quickly answer. It says, we are signed up for Seller Central. How do we get onto Supplier Central? If you go on to marketplacestrategy.com and click resources under guides, we have a guide called What Your Brand Needs to Know Before Selling on Walmart.com, and that walks you through the setup process to become a supplier on Walmart. All right, let's see here. Let's read through some of these. All right, I think this next question is, do we have any insights for mobile and any differences between Amazon capabilities?
Yeah, so typically, like I said, we do see that there's a little bit higher conversion rates and sales volume that come from desktop versus mobile, which I thought was interesting. And then the way that that differs from Amazon is that we actually don't have any insight into what's performing on Amazon, what device it's being driven from, and we're not able to make any of those changes. So it's really important that as you're launching on Amazon, or excuse me, as you're launching on Walmart, you're testing to see where you're delivering on there. They do have really granular reporting into this at a campaign level, but making sure that you're combing through those reports and making those changes as needed. It varies by category, it varies by different products that we're looking at. So unfortunately, there's not as much streamlined process as there is on Amazon, as everybody's still kind of getting ramped up and caught up at Walmart.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gina and Megan, just to keep this under our 40-minute mark today. We really appreciate everyone's time, and the rest of the questions that we have a few in here, we're actually going to send those out to our specific strategists in charge of each of the areas that were asked, that those questions are asked in. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. We appreciate everyone hopping on today.